Welcome to how to lay out a perpendicular lap tie-in with Salty Custom Vinyl. As you can see here, I've templated out a perpendicular floor lay-in. The best way to do this is to actually have the lap nosing and pieces made before you lay the floor. Unfortunately, a lot of people deal with their stairs at the end of the project, and so when that's the case, this is the way to do it. You look at this random pattern layout, plank layout, and as it dives into what would be the stair edge, you're going to put a piece of tape as far back as you can. So essentially the furthest back plank, as you can see that as I've got it there, that second one, I put it out towards the end of that. And what this is going to do is going to allow me to orientate the planks and recreate your exact top of your stairs, so that we can do a precise and exact lap joint with those pieces and your nosing. So then I also put a piece of tape closer to the edge, and what I'm going to do with that is mark from the mounting face, so in other words the edge where the back of the nosing will be, that edge I'm going to measure, and it doesn't have to be this exact measurement, but I'm going to measure, in this case, 2.5 inches back, and do that all across the front of the nose. Depending on how wide that stairway is, you might want to mark it 3 or 4 times where that line is, and then I'm going to get a straight edge and carry that line straight across that piece of tape. So with the 2 pieces of tape in place, I'm going to go through and mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll let me know the orientation that those lay out. Then I'm marking the left and the right, facing it from the stairs. A little bit of redundancy in making sure that things are accurate. And here's where we're going to mark from the edge of the subfloor to 2.5 inches back, and we're going to mark that on the tape using a finer tip marking tool. In this case I'm using just a sharpened pencil, which gives me a fine, more accurate line. So I'll mark that in a few places here and then carry that line straight across. Then the next thing I'll do to make sure that our orientation of the front and sides, again just a little redundancy to double check that we've got everything in the correct place in order to lay out that the cuts for the lap nosing, is that after I get this straight line marked out with my straight edge, I'm going to put a piece of tape along the wall on either side in order to do a diagonal measurement to each corner of the stair, the front of the stair. So I'll make a mark on that side tape and then do a diagonal measurement, mark that on that tape, and then do another diagonal measurement from the other direction. The location of these pieces of tape you're going to see me put on now doesn't necessarily matter too much. I usually lay them out where it's easy to get the measurement accurately, but you don't want them too close to the front, because then that's going to give you some slop, more slop, the closer they are to the front or closer to the stair nose, the more slot that will be in it. And the further away you can get them, that's going to tighten up that layout and that measurement. So here I'm marking out the 2.5 inches, denoting that it's from that line that's marked across there to the mounting subfloor. So in other words, you don't want to mark where you want the front of the stairs to be. You want to mark where the back of the nosing should be. Is where you should pull that front measurement from. So here's these side pieces of tape I'm talking about. I placed them approximately 1.5 foot, 18 inches from the stair nose. This next step is not that necessary to measure that mark out. You can really just put a mark anywhere and then measure from that mark to the corner. It is helpful that that mark is perpendicular to the wall, so I like to make these marks with a square, which makes them a little more accurate. Here I'm marking them out 18 inches from the mounting subfloor, but like I say, you don't have to measure those out. You can if you'd like, but this step's not necessary. And then I'll pull the measurement from my mark to the front corner on the opposite side. So where the mounting tread, or in this case the subfloor, dives into the skirting board or the wall. It is helpful to note whether that front edge is straight. In some cases that may be a rough cut, or maybe on a bit of an angle. If your intention is to say have a little more glue on one side than the other, say you want to fill one side with 1/8 inch of glue, and the other side will be tight, and that's how you want that front face orientated, then you can make a note of that, or you can transfer that into your measurements. Making a note of it is always helpful, because then I can make the adjustments from the exact measurements. I prefer that way, but either way is fine. You don't want to have that. If you do want to have that orientation a little bit tilted away from the subfloor face there, you want to be careful not to make it too big, because you wouldn't want it, hanging out further than say 3/8 of an inch on one side or the other. A little bit of that depends on the kind of nosing you have and the type of profile that you're doing. But to be safe, you want to keep that as minimal as possible. 3/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, that should be fine with any type of profile. The key there is that, let's say you were taking a refrigerator up the stairs, or a big piece of furniture, gun safe on a furniture dolly, you want to make sure that that edge is set to take as much weight as possible. So I've scored all the lines down the joints of the planks and cut that tape. You see here I'm ensuring that that tape is cut all the way through, and you can see how this will be easy to reconstruct and get the exact same dimensions from the front face and